asynchronous JavaScript, asynchronous control flow with callbacks, promises. Then we have seen promises, JavaScript promises. Then we have seen that some examples for promises. We have seen JavaScript promise object, that what is resolve and reject stages, that pending, fulfill and rejected. Here you can see this. We have seen that state and result for this promise object. And in last sessions, we have seen event emitter class, then several events, how to register and remove the events, how to image the events, how to import events, how to initialize event emitter instances, how to register with that events, then removing listeners, registering listeners to that event, then triggering that event, how to remove single event and how to remove all the events. And we have seen that await and asynchronous asynchronous functions that makes a function return a promise, and await makes a function wait for a promise. We have seen that await keyword, that await works only inside a synchronous function, and we have seen that example for that await with a synchronous function. And now we are going to continue with the last topic from the chapter number 7, returning event emitters. So here there are two common patterns that can be used to raise and bind an event using event emitter class in Node.js. So these two patterns are return event emitter from a function and extend the event emitter class. So first we will see return event emitter from a function. So in this pattern, a constructor function returns an event emitter object which was used to emit events inside a function. So this event emitter object can be used to subscribe for the events. So here that constructor function returns an event emitter object which was used to emit events inside a function. So here we will see one example for return event emitter from a function. So first we have to import that events module by using require function like this here, where where emitter is equals to use require function to import that events module dot event emitter. We are going to import that class as well from this event module. Then write a function like function, here function is loop processor and the parameter is number. Here after right importing this events module, here one function is there, loop processor with one parameter number. Then we are going to initialize that emitter here, where e is equals to new emitter. Then we are going to use set timeout method. Inside that we are going to write one function like one function is there which consisting like for where I is equals to 1, then I is less than equals to number and I plus plus. This is a for loop for increasing this number starting from 1. Then here e dot emits, this is the object of this emitter, that e dot emit before process comma I. These are the events or the listeners we are going to register afterwards here. Then we are going to print that message like processing number and the number using plus I. Then e dot emit after process I. These are the events before and after, and we are setting the delay for 2 seconds here. Then we are going to return that event or that object of that emitter. Then we are having one variable LP, that is for loop processor, with 3 values are there. Then LP dot on, here we are going to register this listener for this event. That event is here before process comma function data. Here data consists of like that function consists of returning the data like console.log about to start the process for plus data. That plus data means here for it will increase like 1 2 3 that we are going to print here. Okay, then another here we are going to close this function, and again we are going to register for this event like after process lp.on. After process is the event name, and this is the another listener. That listener contains one statement like complete processing with the data. Okay, the data may be like 1 2 3, as I said that it will increase the numbers. Then after executing this code, it will use output like about to start the process for one. First it will print this message like about to start for the process one. Okay, then it will move towards this loop that it will check for that before process, that it will go to that before process event. It contains that processing number. It will print one, that processing number one, and again it move towards that next event after process, and it will print as complete processing and one. Similarly, it will move further for three times, that is for one, two, and three. Okay, so this is the way it will return that event emitter from the function. Okay, so here we have seen that that loop processor function, it will create an object of that event emitter class. Here it will create the object of event emitter class, then use it to emit that before process and after process. Here we have seen that we have used that for object is used for before process and after process events, and we will finally it will return an object of event emitter from the function. So now here we can use this return value of that loop processor function to bind these events using on and add listener function. Here we have binded that using this on. Okay, before function, before process and after process are the events. Okay, and these are the listeners. Okay, so and now we will move further with that extending event emitter class. How to extend that event emitter class? So in this pattern we can extend the constructor function from event emitter class to emit the events. So here there is example for this extending event emitter class. So for similarly we have to write like import that events module with that class event emitter here. And now here again we have to import another module like where util is equal to using require function util. That is utility module we are going to import here for extending. Then we are going to write one function like function loop processor consisting the parameter number. Then where me, this is the object for this. Okay, then we are going to use set timeout method and write one function, that function consisting of one for loop. And now here me dot emit, this is the object of this function here, this event. Okay, object of this, we are going to initialize that event emitter here. Okay, so me dot emit before process I, similar like previous example we have seen that it will at before process it will that we are going to print a processing number. Then me dot emit after process we are going to print. Okay, so we have set the timeout for 2 seconds and we are going to return this. This means this event we are going to return. And here you can see now util dot inherits, what we are going to inherit or we are going to extend here. We are going to extend the loop processor functions here, loop processor comma emitter. We are going to extend this loop processor methods and variables here by using util dot inherits. So by using this method we can inherit that events and emitters from this loop processor function. Okay, so here now for this loop processor another variable like we are going to set where lp is equals to new loop processor inside the bracket 3. In last example also we have seen the only difference between these two example is we are going to inherit, that we are going to extend that event emitter class like by using util dot inherits loop processor comma emitter. Okay, so for that we have to import that utility module. Then this both examples are similar, but only difference between that we are going to extend that event emitter class. So after executing this code, what we will get? We will get the output like about to start the process for one. We will get the similar output, but difference. What is the difference between this returning the event emitter and extend event emitter class is here you can see we have extended loop processor constructor function. loop processor here. We have extended that loop processor function constructor here that by using this util.inherits. Okay. So extending that loop processor constructor function with event emitter class using util.inherits method of utility module. So we can use that event emitters method with loop processor object to handle its own events. To handle this its own events, we can use the object of this uh, loop processor function here. Object of this function we can use for handling the events of this uh, for this what we can say for this for its own events. For its own events we can use for handling its own events. It will use the object of this loop processor or object of the inherited inherited event. Okay, here you can see that after for extending that we have used util.inherit method from the utility module so that we can use event emitters methods with loop processor object to handle its own events. So in this way, we can use event emitter class to raise and handle the custom events in Node.js. Okay, so we have seen that returning event emitter from a function and extend event emitter class. Now we will move towards inheriting events. So we have seen that example for inheritance like here. For inheriting events, we have to use that utility module and the methods from that utility module. So inheriting from that event emitter means this technique demonstrate how to create custom classes based on event emitter. So by understanding this principle, we will learn how to use event emitter. We have seen that how to use event emitter and how to better use that modules that are built within it. We have used some modules of or the classes for that event from that event emitter. So for inheritance, we will see for inheritance, we will see one example. Here, one problem definition is there. Suppose we want to use an event-based approach to solve a problem, then like you have a class that you had like to operate when asynchronous events occur, like here you can see web, desktop, and mobile user interfaces have one thing in common, like they are event-based. So events are a great paradigm for dealing with something inherently asynchronous. The input from human beings after interacting the interaction between that devices like desktop and mobiles, that human is interacting with these devices based on some events. Okay, so to show how event emitter works, we will use a example like for a music player. Consider one example for a music player. We are going to see this example. So in this example it won't really play music, but underlying concept is a great way to learn how to use the events between these example in this example here. So for the solution to that problem is that example of using events in node is inheriting from event emitter. So this can be done by using a simple prototype class. Okay, so here see this example. We have seen this example in some last slides. Okay, so here you can see first we have to import that utility module here, like where util is equals to using require function we can import this utility module. Then where events, we have to import that events module for the events or event emitter. For the inheritance we have to import that utility module. Remember this. Here one function is there, as I said, we are going to see the example of music player here. So one function is for music player. In this it contains events dot emitter dot call this. Okay, so here util dot inherits what it inherits, music player comma events dot event emitter. Yeah, this is the event and this is the listener. Here you can see, so using util dot inherits is the idiomatic node way to inherit from prototype classes. These are the classes from that events module. Okay, we are going to inherit some features from this uh, event emitter. Okay, so for inheriting events we have to use, here we have seen the example. This is the best example for this inheritance. Here we have to import that utility module by using require function. And how to use this, like util dot inherits and that uh, constructor or the function name and that emitter here. Okay, that event emitter that we are going to use. That we are going to use that event emitter here. Okay, so in this way we have seen that returning the event emitter by using function and extend that event emitter and inheriting the events. So in this way we have finished with chapter number 7. So that's it for today's session. We will stop here. Thank you.